Hello, Flosstube! My name's Natalia, and this is my channel, OfficialMermaidsCove, where I share my love of cross-stitching. Welcome to any returning subscribers, and if you're new and YouTube just randomly recommended this to you, hopefully you'll like what I have to share. Today, I'm going to do my recap of the Lindy Stitch's virtual event, Spring Mingle. I went this past weekend, and I had so much fun. The first virtual event that I've been to of hers was Jingle Ball last year. And then I also went to Nash Dash earlier this year in March. This was the first time going to Spring Mingle, and I'm learning now, which I guess maybe this wasn't like obvious to me when I feel like Stephanie at Lindy Stitches mentioned this a few times, but it wasn't obvious to me that each of the events are a little bit different. So for Jingle Ball, it's a big Christmas event. They have different shops for different designers in the shopping hall. They have whip speed dating. And they have Stitchy lounges where you can jump into rooms, and it's kind of like a Zoom room where you can talk to people and chat. And they also will have like the main stage where they'll have scheduled interviews with designers or special things, like they had an interview with Santa Claus, different things like that. So for the Nash Dash, there wasn't any shopping. It was more just you could pre-order, right, the Nashville releases for market from Lindy Stitches, and when you got them, this was a way of like showcasing or showing people what you were working on, and kind of hanging out a bit. And then the Spring Mingle is more of a hangout, but there is a shop, but it's just like a Lindy Stitches shop. They did have exclusives. There was a freebie that they gave for Nash Dash. There's a lot of freebies for the Jingle Ball, and for this one they had a freebie as well. I did get a start on that, so I can show you that later. They had 2 designer interviews. They had a finishing session with hands-on design. I think her name's Kathy Huberman. And then they also had like a finish parade, or where you like could show different finishes. You could show some different FFOs that you've done, or just projects that you're proud of completing. And then there was a lot of, you could do the whip speed dating, and then you could also do all the stitching lounges. But they're really nice events, very cost effective. I think like the ticket for this one was like just under $13 US for me. And then you can also, I didn't do this, but you also have the option of buying a ticket to the class where you can make something. It's not, I think it's a hands-on design. It's not like this, but it's kind of like a similar 3D finish for like a pincushion, which was really, really cute. I saw a lot of people working on it. So there's also finishing classes. And then this time around, I don't know that they did this for Nash Dash, but Stephanie mentioned that they're leaving, if you bought a ticket to the event, they're leaving the stitching lounges open for a week. So you can still jump in and out of the stitching lounges for the next week, I think until maybe Thursday. And then they also have like the live recordings, or they did the recordings with the interviews, with the designers, and then if you do the class will be available. I think the class recordings are available for like the next 30 days. But if you didn't catch the designer interviews, you can go back and watch them all the way up until Thursday. I don't know that they did that with Nash Dash, but I can't remember if they had a lot of different interviews for that one, but I think that's pretty cool. So I might try to jump in after this and see if there's anybody in the stitching lounges. I can't imagine it's as many people as during the event, but that'll be something fun to do. And also, Stephanie was like hopping around all the stitching lounges this time, so I actually got to like chat with her a little bit, and she got a lot of feedback from different people about how to improve the events and different things that you can do in the future, especially for like that kind of event where it's kind of like a hangout thing. I think the next one is going to be like Midsummer Stitch, but I can leave a link for the Lindy Stitches virtual events in the description of this video if you're interested in checking that out. I don't think the tickets are open yet for that. Like I said, they're leaving the stitching lounges open until Thursday, so I think they want that event to completely finish before they start selling the ticket sales for the next event, and I believe that one's going to be like in July sometime. So let me show you what all I stitched on for this past weekend. I got a lot of stitching in during the weekend. I kind of like blocked off my weekend to just do nothing at the event. And then, of course, the typical stuff. I still had to eat. I still had to take care of my pups and stuff. So I got a lot of progress on what I did choose to stitch on. So of course I'm still trying to get progress on my oldest whip, which is this one. This is my Angel of Elegance. It's a gold dimensions kit. I think I started this one in 2021, and I didn't get a lot of progress on it in the past couple years. And then this year, I made it a point to try to stitch on it. I'm stitching this for #StitchMyWayToYou. One of the people picked this one out of my ongoing whips, and I have to get just under 8,000 stitches throughout this year. So far, this is where I'm at. This is at the bottom of our robe. We got a little bit of the embellishments coming here. There's like a little jingle bell and then a regular bell here. This has gotten over 1,000 stitches since the last time I showed it on my channel, and we are now officially at 20% according to Pattern Keeper, which of course does not include. I just put this chart into Pattern Keeper around this year, which might also help with the fact that I'm getting progress and I'm helping track things. So since I'm tracking it, it's helping me a little bit and trying to stitch a little bit every day. I think I've done like around 200 stitches during the event every day. It is still a lot of white on white stitching, so we'll see if I flounder when I start getting back to that. And the skirt, but I'm so happy to see that this is at 20% after having it going for so many years and not really putting a lot of work into it. I think I've done maybe one day last year works on it, so I can definitely get more progress on this. But yes, this is being stitched on an 18 count white Aida that came with a kit, 2/1 with the included floss. I think somebody asked me if it was DMC, and I'm not sure. I know I don't know if Dimensions has their own type of floss. It doesn't say DMC on here. Usually the kits will mention it. It does have some, like, the specialty threads. I know one of them, like, it's a spool of Krennic, and it has the Krennic brand name on it. But it doesn't really tell you much for the cotton threads. So, that was the first thing that I worked on. I also was still working on the border for my Disney princesses. It's the stained glass chart that I bought off Etsy. I'll insert a picture here so you can see what the finish is going to look like. And this is where I'm at. I'm stitching this 2/1 tent on a 28 count even weave. I think last time you saw this, I was in the bottom left corner working on the outer black border, and I finished the bottom left corner. I finished the top left corner, and I've started working on the top right corner. I got a lot of work on this. Since the last time you've seen this, I've done over 6,000 stitches. So this went from 1.4% to officially now 3.5%, if I round up. So that is amazing. This has over 10,000 stitches in it now. I started it this year, so I'm super happy with that. I think I was also stitching on this for Mermaid, because this has, the Disney princesses, so it has Ariel. I think it counts because it has a mermaid in it. I got the box that I wanted to for this month, so I'll probably be putting this away now so I can pull out some of my other mermaids. I have like 2 other full coverage mermaid pieces, so I'll be getting some more work on those moving forward. So very happy with that progress. The next one that I pulled out was another mermaid. I'll insert a picture of what it's going to look like when it's finished. And this is where I am at with it now. This is a chart called Periwinkle Mermaid. This is designed by Kat at Whittier Stitches on Instagram. She's doing a lot of like body inclusive patterns. So I am stitching the mermaid on 16 count Aida. It's a crystal jazz Aida from Picture This Plus. And I've started pulling this back out. I kind of lagged on getting progress on this, and then I decided to go back to stitching it in hand. Because I tried doing a lot of stitching in hand towards the end of last year and beginning of this year, and I find it's a little bit easier to get progress that way. I don't have to worry about securing the hoop or like managing with the hoop or, you know, moving the hoop around when I'm working on different areas. So it helps simplify things a bit. And 16 count is a good count for me to comfortably stitch in hand with. So I really love this fabric. It's nice and sparkly. And I had all these leaves stitched. I've been getting more progress on these fins. So I think I finished this fin that comes out here, and now this is starting the body of the tail. When you saw from the picture, hopefully, the tail swoops up like this, and then she's here with some flowers. These empty spaces are for beads, so I'm excited about adding those later. Before I picked this up, this was just under 9%. I put 1,382 stitches this past weekend. So we are officially at 15.7%, and I am so happy about that. I love seeing that progress. I'll probably definitely try to make this a finish for this year. I can't remember when I started this last year, but I don't want to. This is such a pretty pattern, and I think I already have somebody in mind that I would like to give this to, and I don't want to let it fall by the wayside. So I'm super excited that I was able to do that. I did mention the 16 count Ada. I'm stitching out 2 over 1 with the called for DMC. I don't think I'm going to have to add any sparkles to this because the fabric's sparkly enough. And with the beads and everything, I think it'll be pretty sparkly as it is. But I'm excited to get more work on that. And I think I'll maybe be trying to get some daily progress on that as well. Maybe not through the whole month like I'm playing with the angel, but I definitely want to get some more progress on that one. And then the last thing that I stitched on was the freebie. I went ahead and started that, and I think I pulled some fabric and I'm gonna stitch it on the Nash Dash freebie. I hadn't started that one yet, but I'll probably end up stitching it on another piece of this fabric. I'll insert a picture of what the freebie looked like that they gave us. It's called the Lavender Grower. It's by Holly Freeman from Stitchy Prose. She designed the one for the Spring Mingle, and I can't remember if she also designed the one for Nash Dash. But I'm stitching this in Mosaic silk. I have the ground and the green stems of the lavender and part of the thread stitched here. And then I need to go back and work more on the birdie and the needle and the buds for the lavender. And I also have my second piece ready for the little goose that was for Nash Dash. This is a 16 count Ada. Is it 16 count or 8? This might be 18 because it looks a little... Okay. I have... This is for my stash, and I dyed this, but I don't have it labeled. I still haven't gone through and finished organizing my fabrics the way that I've seen Cross Stitch the Globe do it. Okay, so this is 18 count. Maybe a little bit smaller because, you know, the fabric sometimes shrinks. So it looks like, but this was, yeah, definitely originally an 18 count Ada. So yes, I'm stitching a 2 over 1 on 18 count Ada. And then this piece will also be, this is also, you know, it's the same piece. I just cut it down to size for the Nash Dash start. So I stitched on this. It's just under 1,000 stitches. Not including like the back stitching. It's going to say Spring Mingle 2025 down here. So I'm already like 25% of the way done. I'm going to get a little bit of work on this today, and I'll probably have it finished maybe by Thursday. I'll try to make a goal by Thursday to finish out the event. And that's the last thing that I stitched on. So my stitch counts for this weekend are as follows. From last Sunday to this past Saturday, I got in a total of 12,142 stitches, and that is a lot. As you can see here, I have my washi tape all set up. I'm planning on stitching more on my Angel of Elegance, more on the Periwinkle Mermaid, and then the purple polka dots is going to be for the Lavender Grower. So maybe if I get it done, yeah, by Wednesday. If not, I'll add if it takes me till Thursday to do the back stitching and wrap that up, I can add washi tape to that too. I'm gonna see if maybe I pull out one of my other full coverage mermaids. I think maybe I'm gonna try Selena Fenech. That's my Hade. It's retired. It's the artwork's by Selena Fenech, and I can insert a picture here. Also working on the black for that one currently until I get more stitching done. I feel like if you pick one of the more prominent colors in the pattern for full coverage, it helps you orient yourself, especially for me because I don't necessarily fully grid all my pieces. I might revisit that. I'm seeing some other gridding styles that might work better for me moving forward. That might be better if I start another full coverage in the future. But yeah, so that's all the stitching that I got done. Okay, so I don't have any haul other than like the freebie. They did have the shops open. A lot of the exclusives sold like crazy. I think Stephanie said that like they had like an exclusive fabric. They did have exclusive designs. And then they had like other things like physical items. And I think she said that the fabric that was dyed exclusively like sold out in the first 30 minutes of the shop being open. Like people, it was like a frenzy. And I was hoping that maybe if you put something in your cart, like it would hold your place until you got to checkout. That is not the case. If somebody checked out before you, like you just missed out. Stephanie did spend like, I think the first morning on Saturday, apologizing profusely. She grossly underestimated, what the demands was going to be when she ordered the fabric. And, you know, that hand-dyed fabric, you have to order it like, you know, months in advance. So, she said she'll try to be better about forecasting that a little bit better moving forward. They had some other things, like I said, just a lot of the physical items. It's really hard to grab stuff before they left. I wasn't really in need of buying any more patterns. I have so many patterns already. I'm already, you know, I ended up buying this from Nashville Marketplace, and I already found fabric to hopefully be able to stitch all 3 of those on. I wanted more of a springy color. So, you know, that's already going to be maybe some other potential new starts that are going to take a bit of time. And then I already have like 18 now because of the freebies that I'm working on. So I didn't really want any additional charts. I was a little surprised that they didn't have more like fibers or like, you know, floss in the shop, but it was kind of interesting because she would update items in there like on a semi-regular basis every day. So it wasn't the same shops or the same items in the shop every single day. So that was kind of interesting. You could peek in there and see what new items had been added. I feel like there wasn't enough mermaid patterns, but that's just my personal take on things. With it, I just feel like they missed an opportunity because it was like it was in May, right? So you could have totally had like a subtle mermaid theme, but it was Spring Mingle, so they did have a lot of springy patterns. The featured designers, there was an exclusive pattern by Counting Puddles, there was an exclusive pattern by Boomerang Stitches, very pretty patterns, just not something I wanted to purchase right away. They did have a designer interview with Counting Puddles, the designer for Counting Puddles, and her story was very interesting, and just her design process. She went through like a lot of her beginning designs and some of the new ones that she's coming out with, and they're so pretty, so unique. She plays a lot with textures in her designs, so I'm definitely interested in maybe stitching one of those things in the future. She was taking suggestions, so of course I threw out there that she could possibly think about designing a mermaid or, you know, some kind of oceany themed pattern. And then of course other people were throwing other very good suggestions. She does say, I think both her and the Boomerang Stitcher designer mentioned that they like designing birds. So, you know, even if it's like a flamingo or a swan or, you know, penguin, like, you know, there were a lot of different suggestions that I think would lend themselves to the type of design work that she does. And she has so many amazing patterns. So if you haven't checked out Counting Puddles, I definitely would recommend them. Boomerang Stitches also has an interesting, unique design style. A lot of it, I think she said people describe her designing being close to like Art Deco art style. And she would agree that some of the things she does design, you know, with that in mind, or she has some architectural aspects. I think she has a background in architectural design, so maybe that's why. And there's a lot of like Art Deco elements in a lot of different cities. So both of your interviews were really, really good. And just, for $12, being able to see the designer interviews, a lot of the designers jumped into the stitching lounges, so you got to chat with them too. It's definitely worth going, and I mean, there's such a demand. People are like asking if Steph could even do more events. Like, it's just so nice to be able to like basically talk to people and kind of have a mini retreat from the comfort of your own home. It's very cost effective for a lot of people, and they don't have to worry about having to plan the travel and all that an in-person retreat demands. So yeah, I'm really enjoying these events, and I'm looking forward to going to the other ones the rest of the year. They also had a session with I think her name's Kathy Hilberman. I was like, there's so many people that I met over this past weekend that it's like all the names blur together. But the person from Hands On Design, she did a session where you could show her a finished item or something that you were working on that you were having difficulties about how you would fully finish it. And she did such a good job, like a lot of different things that I hadn't even considered, like sewing your items, especially if they're bigger pieces, like into a banner, and making them into flat finishes. Not just, framing or making into a pillow. I feel like you see that a lot for finishing ideas. Even doing stand-ups with some of the items, if it lends itself to that. I definitely want to try a drum, and I've been, enjoying like trying to do 3D finishes or even practical finishes. These can be used as pin cushions or to display, your decorative pins. So she had a lot of good suggestions for that. Some nice suggestions and references to people who sell finishing items. She mentioned like I think somebody had like a design of like either 9 or 12 different smalls. I don't know if it was one of those like Little Town or the house design series that you see that you can get like a window screen frame pane. And she mentioned that there are people out there who sell finishing supplies like that that you can buy and then make them into smaller finishes in that window and present it as like a larger display item. So it's just really creative things, a lot of good suggestions, a lot of good ideas, and then of course people in the comments were lending their own suggestions as well. So it was really good, a lot of inspiration. So I feel like that was great. They had the class. If you signed up for the class, I heard a lot of good things from that. She gave a lot of good suggestions. She also gave some sneak previews about things that Hands On Design is going to be releasing. I didn't realize how many 3D finishing things that she has and different patterns that she has, so I'll definitely have to check out some of those. She has one where it's like a pin cushion but that you can seat in like a tray. So I'm interested in maybe buying one of those patterns and trying it out for myself. And she mentioned she's going to be coming out with even more patterns in the future, so I'll definitely be looking out for like the summer designs, and I think she showed some that she already has out that I might be interested in too. But again, want to work on some of the other things I have first, but she's definitely on my radar now for who I'll be buying from in the future. I met so many people. I saw a lot of people that I saw during some of the past virtual retreats. I've seen people that I've engaged with on Flosstube and on Instagram. I got to see them in person. They got to see me in person. I know I'm not always showing my face on here. So they got an opportunity to see me and talk, face to face over a screen. So that was great. I got to see my table mates from Stitch, Florida. A lot of them attended the virtual retreat, including Dottie at Stitching Scotty. If you're not following her Flosstube, she attends quite a few retreats throughout the year, and she does a lot of great recaps. You get to see her cute Scotty dogs, and she always has lots of cute finishes that she's fully finishing. I don't know how she gets it all done, but she's super talented and a very prolific stitcher. So I would definitely go check her out. She's got tons of whips that she's always sharing in each of her videos, and she's pretty consistent about uploading. So I definitely recommend her. And there is a brand new Flosstuber that you need to check out. Eli has started a channel recently called Thick Threads. Brand new Flosstuber, so please feel free to go over to his channel and subscribe, show him some support, show him some love. He's got a lot of cute projects that he's working on, and I believe he has some really cool ideas for future things you might start. Because I think we had quite a few rounds of speed dating that we got matched together, and then I also got to talk to him in one of the rooms. I met a lot of people. I'm so sorry if I leave anybody out, but I do want to, give a shout out to my Stitch Florida peeps. I got to talk with Beth and Nina, and I didn't meet Valerie at Stitch Florida, but I met her at Jingle Ball, and she's been pretty consistent. We try to keep up with each other whenever we're at the events to jump in the same room together. We got to talk to Dottie, Kim. We had a lot of new to me. I feel like Dottie's friends with so many people because she meets so many people at the retreats. I got to see the dyer for Lap and Loops in one of the rooms. She talked a little bit of how she had her business started, and she has a lot of new designs, exclusive designs for the fabric coming out. So if you want to check out Lap and Loops, she's a very talented fabric dyer. There's just so many people with Flosstubes. I don't know if I could list them all. I got to talk with Giselle and Eve and Lisa and multiple Megans. Just so many great ladies. And then, of course, Steph was jumping into the rooms. Oh, there was we're getting a lot of variety in our stitch groups. A lot of the times, I don't know, that there's like that theme, right? That cross-stitching seems to be a female-dominated hobby. But we're getting some guys, Eli was there, Philip was there. Steph's husband was jumping into the speed dating rounds, even though he doesn't cross-stitch. So it's fun seeing Jason interact with Stephanie. So yes, if you've never attempted Spring Mingle, I definitely recommend it. It was a really, really good event. I had lots of good stitching time in, and I got to talk to a lot of stitchers. I got to subscribe to a whole bunch of new Flosstubes, and I'm going to, I guess I just need to accept that I'm going to be perpetually backlogged in my Flosstube watching. But I definitely have a watch later playlist that's like over 100 videos, which has been worse, so it's not too bad. That I'll definitely be cycling through this week. So yes, if you are interested in going, I would definitely recommend going. It was lots of fun, and I'm looking forward to the summer virtual event that they'll be going to, that they'll be having in July. So, yep, I'm probably going to wrap this up and edit this, and then jump into one of the stitching lounges and see who's might be lurking around. If you liked this video and you enjoyed what I had to share, feel free to like. If you'd like to see future videos, feel free to subscribe. And until next time, happy stitching. Bye.